Welcome back to Cali Roots to Tennessee Boots. And today I've been busy building this bamboo structure for the tomatoes I've planted. If you've been following me, you know I have had a whole lot of tomatoes plants, probably around 40 or more that all propagated from seed. And I potted them up to a point where I'm in like 3-gallon pots now on ones I don't have room for. But I'm planting as many of them as I can. I've given away several. But this is the support structure that I'm going to be using this year for the tomato plants. And this one holds 10 tomato plants. These are all indeterminates. So that means that they will continue growing throughout the season and producing fruit. The determinants, which I have over in the raised planter bed over here, they're an Italian paste tomato or sauce tomato, and they'll produce all the tomatoes all at one time, and then they'll just croak. So I'm experimenting with all of those being in one raised bed together. These require suspending throughout their life as they get taller and taller. This is 10 feet tall, and tomato plants can easily get that tall. But by the time it gets that tall, with the heat of the summer and all, they're probably not going to be producing anything. So just we'll chop them off at the top at some point and let the rest of the tomatoes ripen with the time that's left in the season, if they get that far. I've had a lot of problems with root knot nematodes, and so I've been trying to prevent that or reduce that by using beneficial nematodes. So I've been buying those, and you mix a powder with water and just water them in, and hopefully that they will reduce the problem, because they ravage your tomatoes to where they'll grow a plant and it'll get a very big plant but no tomatoes, or else it'll just suddenly turn and stop growing and turn brown. So that happens later in the season as the roots swell up and get knots and they can't draw nutrients anymore. So it doesn't matter how much you give them, they're not going to produce much of anything. So it's really disappointing. I almost gave up with growing tomatoes here, but I'm trying this as a last ditch effort to see how the beneficial nematodes will take care of them. They're also supposed to take care of things like slugs and sow bugs and other insects that are detrimental to your plant. So another thing I'm going to be doing is from the fall planting, I've got cabbages over here, and I'm going to pick one of them today. So let's get started. That's a pretty nice cabbage right there. That's my first full-size cabbage. I did pick one that was in my raised bed, but it had gotten eaten in the early stages by a rat, and it kept munching on the outer leaves, so it just it's weird. I cut it open, and it had this big, thick twist of stuff in the middle, so it wasn't very good. Hopefully, by the look of this one, this looks like a really nice one. So, excellent. Another thing I want to show you guys is the beneficial nematodes. It comes in basically a shipping bag, and it's sealed in a container. This baggie is put inside the shipping bag with some ice bags, the gel material. That keeps it cold, and they ship it second day delivery because it needs to stay cool until you put them in the soil. This is triple blend mix, and it's by Nature's Good Guys. And this mix is supposed to cover several different types of pests: fleas, grubs, fungus gnats, thrips, and many, many more things, including root knot nematodes. So it just is a little baggie inside this that contains the powdered beneficial nematodes. They have a little instruction pamphlet that they include. Tells you exactly what to do. So you're supposed to have your soil watered. So you're supposed to prepare by moistening the soil first. Then you activate the mix by putting the powder in a bucket of water, or in this case, a couple buckets. This is 15 million concentrate. The last one I got was about half of that, but I decided I was going to give it a real jolt of protection. So we'll see what happens. This will be the second treatment in about a month and a half or so. Anyway, so once you've mixed it in your bucket, then you apply it into your watering can or a sprayer, like a bug sprayer, or a hose end sprayer, but I just use a watering can. It's the easiest thing to do. And then after you poured it on, you just water your plants and water it in to make sure that they soak into the soil. You want them to get in the soil and then keep the soil moist for 2 weeks. So that'll happen anyway, since I have the system on a drip irrigation, and I also come through when it's too warm, and I'll use a hose end sprinkler and sprinkle things also. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in the buckets. This is a peel apart bag. It's kind of windy today, so I'll hold it down here where I don't lose any of the precious powder. I'll put a little over half of it in this one, and the rest in this half bucket of water. And we'll get that mixed up. Then we'll mix the two together, make sure we have the same concentrate in both buckets. Tomatoes are the most bothered by these root knot nematodes. So I'm going to concentrate it around the tomatoes, but I will also put it in the rest of the soil that'll benefit from taking care of the bad insects. That should be good. So I just have this plain old plastic watering can. And they say it doesn't matter if you don't have to spread it evenly over your whole garden. Just put it around your plants and it will spread naturally throughout the area. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to get this raised bed, because yes, believe it or not, even in the raised bed, I got root knot nematode damage last year, and they didn't do very well. In fact, none of my tomato plants did very well last year. That's because pretty much all of them were affected by the root knot nematodes. This couldn't be a more simple process. Just water it in. So I guess what the bad nematodes did is that they came up through the bottom of the planter from the natural soil, because there's no bottoms to these planters. And I guess they smell it or something. They know that there's a plant there that they like. And they're microscopic, but they get into the roots and they cause the roots to swell on these big nodules. And when you pull up the plant at the end of the season, it's ugly. It's not like normal roots. You know right off when you've got these darn nematodes. Now, I don't know how you're supposed to tell. I asked them, how do you know whether it's doing its thing? They really didn't have an answer, other than when you see damage from them. Well, you don't, it's hard to tell till the end of the year when you pull them up to see the roots. So I guess if you're going to use this, you just have to go by faith that it's working, that it's doing something, and hopefully your production will be greatly increased. So these tomatoes here, I planted these in the ground maybe a month ago now. That was the first trellis of this type of trellis system that I put in. And I don't think I got this part of the dirt treated last time, because I didn't know I was going to be planting tomatoes over here. This was just fallow. Nothing growing here but some volunteer Swiss chard, which I love the look of. So I just let them come up, unless they're a nuisance when they're in the pathway. But generally, no, not a problem. And I've got celery over here in the raised bed, which I've picked some really nice celery. And then that great big bush right there is collard greens. And it's the first time I've ever grown collard greens, and it is easy to grow. Stuff grows like a weed. So I'm just inoculating these raised beds just to make sure I have some protection. This area here, while I don't have tomatoes planted in the area over there where the garlic is, who knows, I might plant some there, I may not. I've already treated my west garden where my onions are. If I have any extra, I'll go ahead and go back over there and put some more over there, just in case I decide to plant tomatoes or anything else after the onions are harvested. Got kind of a mess in here right now because I had to pull out all my bamboo that I'd already had thinned over the years and used it to build this trellis, and I had to sort through a lot of old stuff that wasn't worth using. Got some great big celery on this side. I'll show you here in a minute. I'm going to show you the celery that's over here. see the nice big sticks. Celery there. And right there. And way in there in the dark. They're kind of surrounded by garlic and kohlrabi that has gone to seed. I never did get any kohlrabi to harvest. I guess it just didn't have enough sunlight at the crucial time and wasn't warm enough at the time to develop. So just based on the time clock, I guess it decided it was time to go to seed. But that's okay. The blooms create a great attraction for bees. And so that helps with pollinating the tomato plants and anything else that has to be pollinated. So I just let them go to seed as long as I can. I do need to probably take out this one giant kohlrabi. There were two different ones. I think this one was supposed to be like a purple one, and this one was a regular green one. It's just a huge plant, almost 6 feet tall, and it's just starting to bloom up here at the top. But it's exactly right where I need to plant one of my tomatoes. So I just may pull that out tomorrow. But we'll leave this here that is in full bloom and is attracting those bees. Well, I didn't have enough to go in the other garden where the onions are. That's okay. I had treated it once already. So I'm just watering, first of all, these plants in pots. These are just nursery pots that I have left over from all my purchases, and figured if I want to keep all my excess plants alive, I'd put them in there. So, see what happens. I had 7 different varieties of tomatoes. Well, that was rude. The hose knocked over the camera. We're just watering in the beneficial nematodes wherever I poured their concentrate. These garlic probably have about 20 to 30 days maybe left on them. As soon as it starts getting hot, they'll turn brown at the tops, and it'll be time. We'll see if these commercially made lean-to or A-frame cages will be good enough for these determinate tomatoes. I don't know. Usually commercial ones don't work. These are a little more stout, but they're not that tall. And even if determinants get probably 5 to 6 feet tall. We'll see how long that lasts before I lose height for it to catch the growth that it has. I'm always fighting that. The tomatoes always outgrow my supports. But I don't think it's going to do it this year. Not on those 10-foot ones. It'll be no problem. I just hope that they reach that I get production with that much growth. I hope so. The onions I have in this garden are red burgundy, which I really love. I think they're a great flavor. They're a non-hybridized. Now, they take longer to mature than the hybrid ones. They tend to also go to seed a lot easier than the hybrids. And this year, because we had a heat spell that was around 88 degrees a couple of weeks ago, it just turned them on to go into seed. And I've had to snip off a bunch of the seed pods before they got mature, so that the onion will put its energy into making the bulb and not seed. But that just means it also will not store as long. So these would be priority, these first. But these are all red burgundy. The first year I put this whole section just red burgundy. And a few years back I grew some great big whoppers. So I'm hoping I get some burger size onions out of it. Now on the west side, which you can go visit here, they're impressive. They're the hybrids. I've got one called Chianti, and I got those from Lazy Dog Farm. They have their YouTube channel, and it's a great one. So if you're interested in learning about science, there's a lot of growth. He's got a lot of experience in doing that, and does some great instructional videos. I've been doing this many years, probably longer than him. I'm older than him, but I have not had the time to get serious and learn some of the secrets. So he's a really good, experienced guy that has some great information. So go on over to Lazy Dog Farm and check him out if you're interested in improving your gardens. And I get a lot of information from several channels, but I do tend to go to his a lot. He specifically has a lot of lessons on growing onions. That's my favorite thing to be growing and eating. So that's what attracted me to it. And but he also does all the other typical vegetables. And right now he's specializing in fig trees. Not sure what the attraction for fig trees are. I guess maybe it's not as easy to grow there in Georgia. I don't know. You know, they grow here in Central Valley, California. Just throw a seed in the ground or throw a little tree in the ground and you get figs. It's just not hard to do here. But I guess it is more of a specialty over there, and he gets a lot of clientele buying because he's gone into full retail sales of his plants. So if you have a desire to get ones, he'd be the guy to go to. If you want some quality plants, he has several varieties. Just wanted to show you my recently turned over compost. And you see some good creatures in here. Some red worms. There. Right there. And about several in every shovel full. But it's super light. And this portion is pretty much fully composted. So that is dug up from the very bottom and then goes to the top. And that way I can use this compost while the less composted stuff is at the very bottom, and will compost out in just a few weeks. Just wanted to show this is the good stuff, not the junk you buy at the store. So I just realized part of my microphone receiver came off the phone when it fell one of the last times. So I don't know how much of my discussion got recorded. But I'm here on the West Onion Garden, and I wanted to show how well they are doing. They're starting to get really big. These first ones here are the Chiantis, and I wanted to show you that there's a seed pod developing. You can see it right there. And what I do with those is just pull it down to the base center and do a quick snap and just snap it clean. And see, that's before it actually opened. There we go. So I'm gonna show you up close. That's got some good size to them already, and they're not done yet. They've really started inflating just in the last couple weeks. They're going to be really good. There's some really nice Georgia boys right here. They're yellow onion. Also gotten the brand of that, the variety of that was chosen through Lazy Dog Farm. It's a beautiful onion. They're getting nice sized. I'd say they're bigger than baseball size now. They're getting close to softball size. And then I have two other varieties over here. The DP Sweet is the next section of rows that is also a yellow onion. So you can kind of see here these three rows right there, and right there are the Georgia boy. Then these ones, which are smaller, well, some of them are smaller, their tops have already fallen over, but they did long ago, and apparently that is the characteristic of the DP Sweet. It matures faster, so you can see that whole three rows have fallen over. Now I'm letting them get every bit as much time as they can have to develop a larger bulb, because some of them are big, like that one right there. That's a real nice size one. That's a good baseball size, maybe a little bigger. There's a few others that are similar, but not majority. The majority of them are much smaller. That's the baseball size, and then you can see the next one is considerably smaller. And then there's one down at the end. It was big, just not shortly after. It seemed like after I planted them, it just started getting big, and the top started falling over. Anyway, then the last ones are Timon. It's another yellow variety. Now this section doesn't get as much sun because of the fence next to it right here. But now that it's getting later in the season, getting closer to summer, the sun is higher, and so now these are starting to mature and get bigger. They have much larger tops now than they did just 2 weeks ago. They were very tiny, and so those tops are still growing. So I might have something yet from those, because these were even tinier than the DP Sweets, and still are, but they're actively growing still. So we'll see in the end what happens. But right now I can say that the Georgia boy and the Chianti are definitely two winners that seem to be reliable and getting nice and big. Nice onions. Over here's a DP Sweet, and it's a nice one, but that really hasn't gotten any bigger in the last 2-3 weeks, I don't think. And it looks like the tops are pretty much depleted on that. So my bet is these DP Sweets are probably done. I'm going to leave them in another week and see if there's any more growth to the bulb, if there's any energy left in some of these tops. And if there's not, I'll pull them and let these timones follow with some more growth. There's some pretty nice tall leaves right there, leaves. And we'll see, but that's exciting because this is the first year I've grown onions on this side of the yard. This was just lawn. This was originally an area to corral the dogs in when we needed to. And while I do miss that, I needed the space for onions, and the grass just did not grow. It just wouldn't grow here. Probably not enough water. And it wasn't the best soil, so I amended the soil a lot, put a lot of compost, store compost, and my own grown compost, along with a lot of steer manure, and then I've put in fertilizer. And of course, I did fertilize these onions with urea. It is what the farmers use when you want high nitrogen. And I fed these every 3 weeks with the urea. And the thing with that urea is you have to work it in the ground or water it right away. So commercially, they'll use it when it's raining. They'll spread it with aircraft, and they'll spread the fertilizer as quickly as they can in the rain, and that waters it in, and then they don't lose value. If you just leave it on the top, it will basically evaporate. All the nutrient value will go away. So that's the only drawback with that. And I got it for free. That's why I used it. I'll probably go to just organic next year. But I just wanted to see if I could maximize my growth with the urea, the high nitrogen. And it looks like it has paid off here. So far, these are the best looking onions I've had in about 3 years. So even though I've got some of these going to seed, they're already bigger than a lot of them last year. And they've got a lot of leaf structure here. These Chiantis aren't even close to being done. And they still have a lot of growth. These things are about 3 feet tall. And the diameter at the base on most of them are probably 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches, close to it. So we'll keep checking in, see how they are. Well, thanks for coming and seeing my channel, and I'll have progress updates in just a week or so, and we'll see how they do. Thanks again. We'll see you next time. Hey guys, it is artichoke harvest time, and the first one is ready, and I'm going to have it tonight. So check this out. Look at the size of that. So I'm going to pick that, and then we've got several others that'll be ready in a little bit. Here's other sections of the plant with more. One right there. Little guy right down there. So it's going to be a good crop. Hopefully it doesn't get hot too soon, and it'll spread out the time we can harvest. All right. So there it is. And now I'm going to enjoy it. Hey guys, hey, real quick, here's my first successful growth of celery I just picked out of the garden. Planted from seed way back in, I think it was January, or maybe it was November. If I planted them when I planted my onions, then it was November. But anyhow, it just takes forever to grow. But there's several more, but I just wanted to pick this one that looked pretty mature before it gets hot. And then they start getting bitter. But this is nice and fresh. So, all right, we'll see you next the next one.